Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's your girl, Shy Roslyn. And as promised, yes, I cut my hair. I cut it myself and it's not perfect, okay? So it is what it is. Anyhow, um, lot going on. Last night was my night with mom and she did not have a good night. She had some tummy issues and she pretty much ran the gamut. Stuff came up, stuff went out, So she's now sleeping in her sewing room after getting up at 6:30 in the morning, right when I got up. Well, not got up because I'd been up, but anyhow, mom had a rough night last night. And she's now sleeping in the sewing room. So, I'm just trying to take a little me time. I get a little breakfast in before mom's aide gets here because I have to run errands this morning. 4 hours of sleep. Anyway, that's not really what I was here to talk about. It just came out. But I want to talk about what's going on in the so-called church sector. This week was crazy. I could barely keep up with everything that's going on. Oh, by the way, it's Oikos 000. Lots of protein and no sugar. It's Greek yogurt, which is okay for me to have. Anyway, that was not an advertisement. They're not paying me to say that. I'm just letting y'all know it tastes pretty good. And if you see it in the grocery store, go for it. Anyway, church sector went nuts this past week. I'm trying to think how do I begin to describe it? Okay. So, for those of you who don't follow this stuff that's going on YouTube, I follow it because I'm up 3-4 nights a week with mom and I need something to keep me going in the middle of the night. So I watch, unfortunately, I watch a lot of YouTube. 2, my channel, my main show is to promote my artwork and show people how I do things. So I have to kind of keep track of what's going on and what's trending. So I end up watching a lot of YouTube late at night. So one of the things that I follow on my YouTube Street Guide playlist, I've been following the church, they call it the church sector. And it's basically church drama, church gossip, this, that, and the other. So there's some major players. Excuse me. It was still hot. Damn. So they're major players, and you can go to my YouTube Street Guide playlist. There are a couple of videos out about who's who and what's what. Check those out if you're interested. However, this past week, how do I put this? A couple of content creators decided to do a show together. And these content creators are not known for being collaborators. One of them, I'll get to that in a minute. So these two, excuse me, content creators decided to do a collaboration, or they interviewed each other. Okay, so one of them is what's that man's name? Conscious TV, and the other is the St. James Show. Okay. So they were having a dialogue, and it started out as a conversation, basically. And I think that's what I thought that's what it was meant to be. It was supposed to be a conversation about things that have been going on surrounding Thanos and the lawsuit with TD Jakes, and that's a whole other thing that's going on right now. And I am no expert in any of this. I am literally just like a bystander. I have no skin in the game. I have nothing to benefit from discussing this. I am literally, I'm not a church kid. Never, I don't, these folks, some of them are preachers' kids, some of them are involved in their church for years and years and years, but I'm not the one, I'm not that one. So they know more about the ins and outs of this, all of this that's going on, than I do. I am literally just somebody who's in the audience. I pay membership to a couple of channels because I enjoy their content, and that's it. So I'm coming from somebody who's in the audience, minding my own business, and then this all happens. So the two decide they're gonna have a conversation about what's going on with TD Jakes, the lawsuit, which y'all can look into that. And they were talking about Thanos, aka Larry Reed. I call him Thanos. Folks have other names for him, but I'm calling him Thanos. And so they're having the discussion, and it's things, they're discussing things and going back and forth, and it seemed normal until Thanos joins the show. And maybe it's me, maybe because I'm sleep deprived, slightly depressed, I don't know, but I sensed a shift in the whole conversation. It felt like when he entered the chat, it just shifted from a conversation to a setup. Maybe I'm wrong. Y'all tell me. But it felt like it felt like, when never happened to me, but you're in high school, you're walking down the hall, you go get your stuff out the locker, you're minding your own business, and then all of a sudden somebody just confronts you out of nowhere. I heard you were talking about me. That's the vibe I got at that point. And Conscious TV, who has several nicknames, somebody calls him My Little Pony. I have to admit I hollered when I heard that, but anyway, another reason why this whole conversation just seemed to have gone off the rails at that point, because My Little Pony, I'm sorry, the nickname just fits, but he started going off on some of the people in the audience, and there was another person who had issues, who has had issues with both of them. They were making comments in the chat, and then Conscious TV decided he went off. He talked about the guy's mother. I'm like, yo, at that point, I was just like, this is no longer a conversation. This is just what do they call it? The kids call it reading. That's all it was at that point. And it turned me off so much so that I didn't really care what Thanos had to say. And I stuck it out though. Because, like, again, I'm listening to it late at night. I got to listen to something. And St. James did give some pushback. And basically Thanos said, well, if you have something to check, just reach out to me. I don't understand why you're not reaching out to me. And you talk to people that I don't like, that I don't get along with. What in the high school is this? That's and once it reached that point, it was like, this is no longer a conversation. And I got the impression that St. James was thinking the same thing, like, yo, this is not a conversation anymore. I'm getting jumped. And St. James ended up just leaving the conversation. He's like, listen, I gotta go. And My Little Pony and Thanos just kept talking. The basic gist of what I got from this is that if you're not in an alliance with some of these big time YouTubers, that there's something wrong with you, they don't want to deal with you. I'm telling you guys, it's straight out of high school, maybe even junior high school. If you're not friends with the big people on campus, like, you have the jocks, you have the nerds. Nerds will eventually run the earth, by the way. But nerds will inherit the earth. Just to let you know, because I'm a nerd, okay? But if you're not accepted by the jocks or by the cheerleaders, aka the mean girls, or the big people on campus, if you're not part of any of those cliques, then you're worthless, basically. And it's the same thing that's going on now. So, not only did this particular conversation go from a conversation to getting jumped in the hallway at the locker, the afterward was probably just as crazy as the actual the conversation. The next day, people were talking about how, I want to make sure I'm trying to get this right, because, like I said, I'm sleep deprived, so my timing might be off. But folks were talking about how St. James, some people are saying St. James should never have talked to My Little Pony in the first place. They were also saying that Thanos was still lying, despite the basic questions that were asked of him. So, he should never have done it in the first place. Some folks are saying that St. James didn't give enough pushback, particularly when that other gentleman was in the chat and My Little Pony read him and talked about his mama, and St. James stayed silent. Now, I noticed that St. James did try to come off of that, what's what I'm looking for? Come off the subject, and tried to, like, hey, this isn't what I was asking about. I was asking about this. You're talking about this, but that wasn't my question. And My Little Pony insisted on continuing his read of the person in the chat. Some folks came back the next day and complained that St. James didn't give enough pushback. He should have defended the person that was complaining in the chat, and suggested that he was two-faced. Did no one see that St. James ended up dropping out of the live stream altogether because obviously Thanos wasn't going to be honest about anything? And My Little Pony just wanted to cuss people out. That's the point it got to. My Little Pony just wanted to cuss people out, and Thanos was Thanos. So St. James dropped out. He's like, you know what? I'm going to bed. See y'all. And the only reason now it was just My Little Pony and Thanos at this point. But since St. James had linked to My Little Pony's stream, it was still going on St. James' channel, but St. James was no longer participating. I guess it's like a technical thing. You hook up through StreamYard, I guess. So, anyhow, like I was saying, the next day, the complaints were coming in. St. James didn't give enough pushback. St. James shouldn't have been talking to My Little Pony in the first place. Now, mind you, they have spoken before. I know St. James has been on My Little Pony's, a couple of his episodes before, briefly. And they had civil conversation. I will say that. They may not have agreed, but it was civil, which is the whole point. You may not agree, but the ability to be civil with someone you don't agree with, that's supposed to be a good thing. Well, apparently not. People were coming out saying that St. James was being two-faced. Even Thanos is like, well, he insinuated that, since he did the interview with Archbishop Jordan and ended up going to Prophetology, then, you're talking to them, and why you keep bringing me up? You're always talking negative about me. Well, Thanos, there are a lot of questions swirling around you. That's why everybody's questioning you. But that I will leave that part of the church drama thing. I will leave that to the experts, because like I said, I am literally just like an audience member, and I'm just watching this as an audience member. I'm not in any kind of church thing. I take care of my mama, I take care of my brother, I watch YouTube to get me through what I need to get through right now in this particular season of my life, and I make jewelry. So I'm looking at it as literally I am somebody from the audience. I don't have the background that these content creators have. I don't have the background. So, as someone who is literally just, I'm in the audience hanging out, and it was, like I said, the next day, everyone was talking about it. People were complaining that St. James was two-faced. He didn't push back enough. I mean, for me, dropping out of the conversation, once you see that the person you're talking to is no longer like even bothering to listen to the question that you're asking, it's time to go. And he dropped out of the conversation. I would have too. I would have dropped that conversation a lot sooner, but it's not me. That's St. James's choice. But like I said, I put in one of my most recent YouTube street guide videos, I called St. James T'Challa because he is the diplomat. He's Switzerland. He's trying to be Switzerland. Like, he's trying to give everybody an equal chance. Now, what people do with the equal spot or equal time, what people do with it, he has no control over. But this you need to be aligned with us, or you can't collaborate with somebody who the group feels is a bad person. That makes it doesn't set well with me. Now, should the person that you don't always agree with turn uncivil and nasty and whatnot, yes, absolutely, cut off the conversation. When people show you who they are, just, okay, you know what? I tried to give you some space. We're trying to have just talk, and you're gonna act like that. I'm done. So I'm totally with that. But this whole you didn't give enough pushback. You shouldn't even be talking to these people in the first place. Well, let's see, how can I say this? Doctor Strange, well, no, let me not. Well, no, he did say it on his public live, but Doctor Strange was not thrilled either. He was one of the ones saying that St. James didn't give enough pushback and he should have defended the gentleman that was in the chat. And when St. James tried to explain, like, hey, I was a guest on this other person's stream, so I have no control over what the other person's going to say. Now, he said he did say that he tried to change the subject and get him to stop talking about the person, but that wasn't good enough for Doctor Strange. So, I think that I don't want to say alliance, but I think there won't be any further conversation. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I thought someone was at my door. Anyhow, I think that I don't even want to use the word relationship, but I think that those Doctor Strange and T'Challa I don't think there's going to be any more collaboration. There might be some communication between the two. Doctor Strange is V. Terrell Hill. That's my reference. But I don't think there's going to be, if there is communication between the two, it's going to be very limited. So, this week has been nuts. It's like I was saying, it's like, it's sort of starting to, it's literally like the comic books. People are forming alliances, and those who are diplomatic in nature trying to reach out and to find some kind of common ground, even though you may not always agree, those folks are being told to shut up. And it's just basically two camps. Now, oh wait, let me stop. Hold on. I was about to make a comment about something, but I'm trying to remember if it was said in a private. If it was a members only live, it was said in. I can't really talk about it because that wouldn't be fair. But there is an issue with. Okay, I'll say it this way. There is an issue with one of St. James's supporters who went on to another person's, I'm pretty sure it was alive, and said, hey, St. James was just trying to be a diplomat, basically. Like, listen, he was invited to this person's episode or show, and there's only so much he could do because he was the guest. He wasn't controlling the show. And Doctor Strange didn't want to hear it, basically. That I'm paraphrasing everything because y'all can actually look up the videos and see. I mean, basically, just if you want to search on YouTube and just search Conscious TV and St. James, and you'll see the whole. I'm sure all the stuff will pop up. So, anyhow, so it's gotten to it's gotten to where other content creators are berating people that are in the audience. I'm like, come on, dudes, really? Then there's another person whose nicknames I won't say, but there's another content creator who is now aligned with Thanos, and no, it's not Loki. It's not Loki, but he's one of them. But there's another one who is now aligned with Thanos. And I've noticed that their episodes, they'll rant, they'll say things, and within 24 hours, it's members only. You have to pay $19.99 to hear what they had to say, if you didn't catch the original live. They have when people question them in the chat, and the chat is only for subscribers, which is, that's an option that YouTube makes available, so, it is what it is. But, they have berated people in the chat. The moderators are told to just get rid of comments that they know that the content creator is not going to like. If once in a while, if someone posts something and it's some kind of a question, they'll say, well, since you know so much, come up and tell us. And I watched one live where someone did come up and was discussing a situation, not the St. James situation, something different. And the person said, I can't say everything on the live because some of the stuff was told to me confidentially. And the person said, well, why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us? Since you know so much, why don't you tell us? The man just said some of the things were told to him in confidence, that he's trying to make his case without violating the confidentiality. And the content creator, well, just tell us what you know. Tell us what you know. I'm like, really? So the person ended up like, bye, I'm out. They're not listening. They're not listening. So, once the thing happened with My Little Pony in St. James, it's like all kinds of shit hit fan. And once that happened, the whole week everyone's talking about it. Now, are people entitled to their opinion? Absolutely. Are people supposed to be able to talk to each other even if they don't agree? Absolutely. Are people drawn to people that they have basic that they agree on basic things, and people are drawn to people who have that same understanding? Yes. It's human nature. Should people nitpick and tell other creators how to run their channel? No. The one thing I heard, and St. James came on the day after all this happened. St. James came on. He did a live, and he didn't want to show his face. The screen was dark. Didn't want to show his face. He was that angry. I could hear it in his voice. He was pissed. And he sounded pissed for sure. And he also sounded tired. I mean, just endured a 3.5 hour live with My Little Pony and Thanos. Yeah, I'd be tired too. But he sounded pissed, and he sounded tired, and he sounded I don't want to say frustrated, but I think that's probably the best word for it. Basically, he said, how I manage my channel is my business. He said that people were reaching out to him. Oh, it was a good show, but you should have did this. Or, but you should have spoke up for so-and-so in the chat. Oh, yeah, it was okay. I don't, you go get what you need to get, but, and he's like, if you could make the comment without the but, I would be more receptive. It's like people, it backhanded compliments. That's what I needed to. That's the term I was looking for. Backhanded compliments. So, and I could understand why. And the next the next show was a completely different topic. He has an interview with Manasseh Jordan coming up tonight. Today's Saturday when I'm doing this. So tonight is Manasseh Jordan's interview. He interviewed the Archbishop already, so now he's interviewing Manasseh Jordan. And get ready for round 2 of it was a good show, but and you should have questioned him more about this. And they're lying about stuff, and you didn't ask. But St. James is not an investigative reporter. He's like I wouldn't say Johnny Carson, but he's like in that realm. Like he sits down and has a conversation with people. And if something needs to be called out, like he did with Thanos, if something needs to be called out, he'll call it out. If it's just like a general interview, like, hey, what's going on with blah, 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 he can kind of go either way. And that's his priority. That's his channel. He can do what he wants to do. And he got more fortitude than me, because if I started receiving the type of crap that he was receiving after the thing with My Little Pony, I would say, you know what, fuck y'all. And not, I would just take a 2-week break and not put out another video. Just like, y'all can go to hell. But that's just me. That's just me. I got bad temper. I don't put up with a whole lot. But yeah. So basically, from looking at this whole thing, from literally, I'm just somebody in the audience. I have no ties to church, any big church denominations, and I was never a preacher's kid. I'm not even really involved in the church right now anyway, because I have other issues that literally keep me from going to church. So I'm just like Jane Doe from the audience, and from my perspective, y'all church folks need to get this together. I know some of y'all thrive on it. Some of y'all get your super chats and your cash apps from being the way you all are being. And I admit, I am a member to some of these channels. I do pay some money. That may stop because unrelated. It may stop because my credit card's maxed out. So some of y'all that you know that I'm a member of your channel, I may have to put it on pause until I get things straightened out. Most of y'all know I have a GoFundMe going because I have to pay the aide to stay with my mother the night for a couple nights a week, and it's draining my resources really badly. So I may have to pause a couple of memberships for a while, but I still would like to support at some point. But like I said, I'm Jane Doe from the audience. I have no connections to anybody. I'm not. I'm a little YouTube channel that I observe, I research, and I do my little jewelry on the screen so people can see how I do things. And and I take care of my family. Now, have I done some research in the past on people? Yes, and the videos are there. Because the topic was interesting to me, and I had questions about certain things. So I went and did some research. So I've done it. I've done research. I've done research videos. But it's not my main focus. And since I'm not like in the church, I can't speak on stuff that these guys can speak on. So I'm just sitting back and I'm watching, and I'm not feeling what I'm seeing, guys. But I'm just a member of the audience. Will I keep watching? Probably, yeah. I'll keep watching stuff because I'm curious, and I'm going to shift to, like, you guys are entertaining me. And it's going to be more entertainment than... I'm not going to take you guys as seriously. And I don't know how many other people that are like me, just members of the audience, might be thinking the same way. Who's to say? But telling y'all now, y'all church drama, you're causing your own drama, and it's not a good look. And I'm definitely going to tune in tonight to see how the interview with Manasseh Jordan goes. And hopefully it will be a smooth interview. I'm wishing a smooth interview for St. James. And hopefully there'll be no crap afterward. So, but that's just some of my random thoughts. Likes are free, sharing is caring. Feel free to respectfully comment. Like I said, I'm not an expert with all this church drama stuff. I'm not an expert. I am just a humble traveler on these YouTube streets. And so feel free to respectfully say what you want to say. But, and I am almost certain I'm not the only one that feels this way. I can't be. So, I'll be curious to see what's going on. So anyway, let me get my day started. Enjoy your weekend, y'all. It's nice and sunny here in New York, and the heat has finally broken. So I'm gonna run some errands, get some fresh air. And for those of you who are going to be watching the interview tonight, I will see y'all tonight at the St. James show. And I'll catch y'all later. Take care.